Welcome everyone. Today, we're looking at how biology organizes life from the microscopic to the global. Think of it like building with Legos, only the Lego pieces are substituted with cells. Let's begin. So it starts with the atoms, which bonds to make molecules. And those molecules form organelles, which builds a cell. And then groups of cells, they form tissues, and tissues form organs. Organs create a living organism, like the spare, and organism makes up populations. I mean, they make up ecosystems, which in turn makes up the biomes, and well, and finally our entire living planet, which is the biosphere. But let's focus on the most important step of the ladder, which is the cell. By definition, the cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of life. If something is alive, it is made of cells. Think of a cell as a miniature, self-contained factory. It takes in nutrients, generates energy, and carries out all the processes required to keep an organism alive. Cells, they aren't static. They're constantly moving and active. This is a real look at plant cells under a microscope. Notice these dark, messy structures in the center? Those are called chromosomes. These cells are actively replicating their DNA and dividing. This division is exactly how organisms grow, heal wounds, and reproduce. Now, in biology, cells are divided into two massive categories, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. The easiest way to see the difference is organization. On the left is a prokaryote, like bacterium. It's simple, tiny, and its DNA just floats around loosely inside. And on the right, it's a eukaryote. It's much larger and highly organized, featuring clear internal compartments. Here are the exact differences you need to know for your exams. In size, we have this difference. Eukaryotes are much larger, over 10 micrometers, while prokaryotes are tiny, as they are smaller than that. Now, the nucleus, eukaryotes have a dedicated nucleus protecting their DNA, while prokaryotes do not. Now, for the organelles, eukaryotes contain specialized parts like the mitochondria and chloroplasts. Now, it is imperative that you know that while you can find mitochondria on both animal and plant cells, you can only find the chloroplasts on the plant cells, because animal cells don't have chloroplasts. But we can be sure that prokaryotes don't have both. And lastly, cell division. Prokaryotes split quickly using a process called binary fission, while eukaryotes divide using structured mitosis or meiosis. Let's look inside a eukaryotic cell to meet the main crew. The nucleus, which is the main office controlling the DNA, containing DNA, and the nucleus basically just controls the activity inside the cell. It is, in fact, the brain of the cell. Next, we have the mitochondria. The mitochondria is basically the power plant that generates energy that will be used to carry out all the activities in the cell, and energy that will be used for the organisms to carry out their activities as well. Next, we have the ER, or the endoplasmic reticulums. They're rough and smooth. I will get into that later. And we have the Golgi complex, which is this one. So basically, these two are the assembly line and the shipping center that build and package proteins. Lastly, we have the plasma membrane. plasma membrane is basically like a security gate controlling what comes in and goes out of the cell. There are a lot of types of plasma membranes, but we'll get into that later. It is important that you know the main functions of these organelles first. Microvilli is how the cell can generate motion. Like I said, cells are active and constantly moving, and this is how a cell moves, using its microvilli. And we have the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is basically a gel-like fluid that acts as a medium of transportation for these organelles and proteins and other minerals that are going to be used for the activities inside the eukaryotic cell. Now, a ribosome is important because a ribosome is basically the factory of a protein. It's where amino acids get structured and gets built into the proteins, the specific proteins a eukaryotic cell needs. This is basically the factory of proteins. It's also, in fact, where translation happens. That's going to be something I'm going to talk about in the next video. Now, what differentiates a smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum? So basically, the ribosomes, they can stick onto the surface of these endoplasmic reticulums. The more ribosomes sticking onto the surface of the ER, the rougher surface it has, thus separating, thus creating two variations of the endoplasmic reticulum. Basically, the one that has more ribosomes sticking onto the surface makes it the rougher endoplasmic reticulum. Usually, the closer the endoplasmic reticulum is to the nucleus, the rougher it gets. And lastly, we have centrioles. Centrioles are very important because it is used during mitosis. The centriole pairs move to opposite sides of the cell during mitosis, and from there, they project spindle-like fibers, or strings, I guess, that attach to the chromosomes and pull them apart, ensuring each new daughter cell, or each new cells, gets the correct DNA. And we have the vacuole. The vacuole is basically just like your house's attic. It's a storage compartment for unused minerals and stuff, basically dead waste. And lysosomes are like the janitors of the eukaryotic cell. They clean up the cell and they digest unused minerals and other things. And I think that's all for the organelles inside the eukaryotic cell. If we were to dive deeper into the organelles, there would be much more to discuss, but for now, this is, in fact, the fundamentals of the eukaryotic cell. Now, finally, how do cells build a whole animal? Well, through specialization. In your bones, you don't just have generic cells. You have stem cells. You have stem cells, which are also called the osteogenic cell, the stem cell. We have the osteoclasts, which are the recycling cells. We have the osteoblasts, which are the building cells. They form bone matrices. And we have the osteocytes, which is maintenance cells. When these specialized cells team up, they form bone tissue, and that tissue forms the organ, which is your bone. And those organs, your bones, allow you, the organism, to stand up and move. That's basically it. And if you master these fundamentals for the cell, you basically mastered the fundamentals of all biology. Okay, thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please make sure to leave them at the comment section. I will make a video more based on the things you're still confused on. And until next time, goodbye.